In this video, I'll show you how to play Kebmo's tune, You Can Love Yourself, thanks to our sponsor, Black Mountain Picks. If you need some help getting started with thumb picking, then you'll definitely want to check out the Black Mountain Pick. Their thumb pick helps you feel the comfort of using a familiar flat pick while getting used to wearing and, more importantly, using a thumb pick. And if you're a more seasoned thumb picker, then you're going to love the comfortable fit. The novel spring-loaded design helps it stay put even during longer picking sessions. Cole and the team offer different sizes for the thumb pick to help get you in the ballpark, but then the spring-loaded design takes over so you can dial in that perfect fit. And they've got different shapes as well. The standard pick, and then my favorite, the jazz tip pick. You can check them out at the link in the description. And now let's get started with the verse to You Can Love Yourself. The cool thing about this tune is once you get some of these chord shapes under your fingers, then the song kind of comes together on its own. Yeah, there's some tricky picking that happens here and there, but ultimately, even if you make a mistake and hit a wrong string, if you've got the right chord held down, the melody of this just kind of takes care of itself. We'll dive into that as we get going, but first let's take a look at these important chord shapes. The first chord shape that we're going to encounter is this A7 here. Now, I like to think of this as coming from a D major, make that a D7, and this shape, if we refinger it, becomes movable, and we can move that root up here to the 7th fret on the 4th string. Really useful chord shape to know in acoustic blues, right? One that you'll hear a lot. So that's the first chord shape. The next one is to take these three fingers, the middle ring and little finger, and drop them down by 1 fret. Notice that the index stayed planted on that A, right? That little root that we've got going there. And we just dropped everything down, holding that shape, and just dropped it down by 1 fret. So we've got this A diminished 7th chord here. And cool thing about the diminished 7th chord is with this shape, if you move it down to the 4th fret, in this case, we still have an A diminished 7th, and that's the next chord in our sequence. Same shape, just now on the 4th fret of the 4th string. And then we come up and lift the little finger off, and we've got another voicing of an A7. So listen to this, and you'll hear the melody of You Can Love Yourself taking shape here. All right, and we'll cycle through that 2 times. Before introducing another A diminished 7th. Remember that we can take this and move it down a minor 3rd. We can do the same thing again. And this is a unique property of the diminished 7th voicing with this shape, is that we can take it and move it down again a minor 3rd, this time to the 1st fret and the 2nd fret, right? 1st fret, 2nd fret, 1st fret, 2nd fret. And we've got another A diminished 7th. And that's where we're going for our next chord in the sequence. This gets a full measure before moving on to an A. And this is the long A. You can see why it's called the long A. We've got that long stretch with the A on top. Use this a lot in country blues. And we've got a regular E major, and then back to our A. So now let's hear this just strumming through the chords, and I think you'll see how this verse really is all about those chord shapes. Don't worry, we're going to get into the picking, but make sure that you can strum through and play these chords in that order, and you will really hear that melody just about to happen just by playing through the chords. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Think of these chord shapes as waypoints that will really guide you through the picking, which we're about to get into. All right, so we've got our chord shapes at work here. The first one being our A7 with that little shape in it. And what we're going to do is slide before the beat from 5 to 7. That starts us off, and then on beat, we kind of get into thumb picking mode where we're going to generally try to do bass on 5/4, 5/4, okay? 5th string, 4th string. What we're going to do is bass and then 1st string, and then bass and then 4th string. This is a little bit weird because on beat 2, you hear this sort of double up on the bass note. And the way I'm doing that is just kind of, you got to get a little tight here. I'm going to do the thumb and then the index. So kind of a down up picking motion. That's the way I think about it. Before heading into our A diminished 7, which is just a pinch with the bass and the top string, 2nd string, bass. And there we get to slide out of that and head down to this A diminished 7 where we can pinch the top 2 strings in the bass. And then this really cool, kind of tricky move though, where on beat 2 we hit the bass, but we get moved because we're going to slide up into our A7. To me, that's the magic of this part here. So on the end of 2, you need to be able to pluck, and I'm going to use my index finger here as we're sliding. So you want to keep contact with the strings here. Good thing that we've got that same position, right? That same shape. And all I'm doing here is just removing the pinky because we don't need it as we're sliding, right? We lose that for this A7 shape, which is where we're heading. Once we get there, bass, and then the 2nd string, and then the slide. And this slide is maybe a little bit different. Instead of just sliding real nice and fluidly up from 5 to 7, you can kind of hear the 6th fret in there. So we got more of a 4-triplet slide, 4-triplet, right? Where you can hear it. You can do either one. You got some options there. And they both sound really good to kind of mix things up a little bit. Now the next couple of measures are slightly different. The picking in the first measure is a little more full, a little more fleshed out. And then in the second measure, we kind of stay away from the top string as the melody and kind of bring things in to the 3rd string. Let's give this a listen. If you simply repeated the first couple of measures there, no harm, no foul. It gets the job done and it gets the point across. But I do like the contrast of having the first set of measures with that melody, that top note kind of out there. And then the next time around, we just kind of bring it in. But now the next set is really where we're going to start to turn things around and kind of get out of this loop a little bit. We start off by playing things a little bit differently rhythmically, a little simplified actually, and then we shift down into the other voicing of the A diminished 7th. All right, and you can see a little bit of a trick as we get into this A diminished 7th chord here. We're going to get to that in just a second, but first off, one of the easier measures so far where we just thumb pick our way through the bass and we play the melody on beats 1 and 3. The melody just being the single top string and then the 2 strings, 1st and 2nd together over the A diminished 7th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get into this tricky bit here, right? Now, a word about this. I did not play this way for years, not until I was preparing this lesson, and I'm pretty sure that I hear this on the record, where there's almost like this sort of shuffle move where we reach up and grab the 4th string, 4th fret on our way into this diminished 7th chord voicing here, right? And it's before picking through the rest of the measure. But if you don't want to do that, and I don't see Kevmo playing it that way in the videos that I've seen, and I've seen him play this live, and I just see him go into this chord shape and hang in there, right? So like, and just plucking through it, right? You can absolutely do that. What I think I hear on the record is has got that reach up to the 4th fret there. Might be just a little cool challenge to see if you're up for it. but you can absolutely leave it out. This next part is where we bring it home with the long A chord, working through some E, and then back to the A, back to home. Let's take a look at that. All right, so what we have here is after our A diminished 7 chord, we hop into the long A, we pinch with the bass, and then we got to get moving here. On the and of 2, open 2nd string on our way to E, as we just kind of walk up on the 3rd string. Now, as you're doing that walk up, I would encourage you to walk up into your A position, because that's where we're landing for the next measure. And then it's simply bass, melody on the 2nd string, bass again, 2nd string, and then finally beat 3, that big sort of ending, right? Now, you'll start over here on beat 4 by sliding up, unless you're going to the chorus. So this is a way you can loop it just by repeating everything that we've just covered, or we can move ourselves into the chorus just by coming up to the 7th fret, so this E note on the 5th string, as we transition into the chorus, or walk it down, right? That sounds really cool as well. But before we get to the chorus, let's play through the verse slowly. Just like the verse, we're going to let the chords serve as waypoints to guide us through the chorus. Let's have a look at the chord shapes that we need. First up is a D7, rooted here on the D note, 5th string, 5th fret. Now this looks a lot like a C chord. This is our C shape, and if we put our little finger down on the 3rd string at the 3rd fret, then we have a C7. And we just move that up, we've got our D7 chord shape here. And we can hold this and then drop everything down 1 fret for our C sharp 7 chord. Next up is an F sharp, so rooted here on the F sharp 6th string, and it is an F sharp minor 7 chord. Now you don't need the 5th string, we're really just going to play string 6 and then 4 all the way up through the 1st. So what I'm doing is barring across the 2nd fret to make this happen. I'm just making sure that I don't play that 5th string. Now another way to play this, in the way that I prefer to play it, is by fretting the 2nd fret with my middle finger on the 6th string, and then I'll bar with my ring finger the top 4 strings, so 4, 3, 2, and 1. This was an awkward chord for me to get at first, but at some point it just feels natural, and it almost feels like you're just grabbing the guitar. That's almost my natural way to just grab the neck, right? Like this. So it looks kind of messy, but it's really happening with this bar. And of course, if you wanted to play it with different fingers, that's totally cool. You could even get the thumb involved here. This is my go-to way for fretting this. So all crowded in here at the 2nd fret. All right, challenging chord, but definitely worth your time getting it down. The next chord we'll need is a B7, right? So you might know a B chord already, right? And if not, then think of it as like your A chord, just refingering it, move it up. But we convert it to a B7 by letting the 2nd fret on the 3rd string ring. So that's our B7. And then finally, the other chords that we'll need are that long A and E7, which is basically the E, just pick up the ring finger, right? And then we've got some A and E again. But now let's play through the chords of the chorus so you can really hear the progression taking shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we've got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Very similar to what we've done already as we end and get ready for another verse. Now let's walk through the picking for the chorus. We start the chorus out with a D7 and we'll play this timing. It's actually pretty easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. And then we shift down to our C#7 chord. And we've got a little more picking here and a classic alternating bass line. 5, 4, 6, 4. Notice I had to move my ring finger to the 6th string, 4th fret to get that done. And the picking in between and a little bit on top sounds like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. One more time. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Now we move to our F#7. I'm going to pinch the 4th string with the 6, and our bass is going to be 6, 4, 6, 4 here. So 6, 4, 6, 4. Now in between, on the end of 3, we got the top 2 strings, right? So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we can change chords into the B7, and we've got this move. A little more picking happening here. Very similar to what we did over our C#7, but notice this cool move on the 2nd string. So you kind of want to finger it like this, where you've got the 3rd fret, that D note on the 2nd string, because we're going to hammer up to the B7, the full B7 here. Just practice that. It's really cool. We want this 4th fret to land at the same moment that we come back for the bass on the 4th string. This is a 5/4, 5/4 bass, by the way. All right, on our way to A. The rest of this is really similar to what we've done before. This next little bit really serves as a great connector to kind of get us back into verse mode. It's got a lot of the same chords, a lot of the same movements, but it's really condensed, and it serves as just a great way to connect the chorus back around to the verse. Let's give it a listen. I hope you enjoyed this tune as much as I do. Remember, you can grab your Black Mountain thumb pick at the link in the description. And if you learned something from this lesson, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you want to go deeper and finally understand and get control of your finger picking technique, then you should definitely join my BGI at the link right over here. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, practice smart and play on.